Hi, I've been using Melodyne for about 20 years, but just recently really needed it again. And so Melodyne 5, I've been really using it in anger in Ableton because I've been doing a lot of vocal projects. So I really want to show you a very quick workflow, how to use Melodyne Assistant in Ableton. Let's get to it. So you'll see here I've got a vocal project for a track, a remix that I worked on recently, which is out beginning of November 2020, called Vanishing Memories, out on Liz Play Records. It's a Slim Blue remix featuring Beckery, and Beck's vocals here, as you'll hear, sound something like this.
Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you remind me?
Okay, so nice performance, rhythmically it's really good. I just need to do a bit of tuning. It's a bit flat. It's not to say that she's a bad singer. It was the performance that she gave. It was really great. And tuning is very important. We're not used to hearing out of tune vocals anymore in modern music. Of course, the auto tune went a long way and has become an effect in certain genres. I'm not going to do the kind of the Cher or the T-Pain thing and you know, really quantize the pitches, but I need to just do a little bit of correction to make it sound right and fit the track. So here we go. So the first thing to do is to add Melodyne. And I can first off hit the transfer button up the top corner here.
Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you remind me of how it used to be?
And as it suggests, the transfer button transfers that audio into the plugin. So as soon as the timeline in Ableton hits this position, the audio from the track stops and the internal audio within the Melodyne plugin begins. So which can kind of be a little bit tricky, because you know, you might, for example, you could mute or deactivate that clip,
Vanishing memories,
but you still have the audio coming through. So there can be a couple of head scratching moments when you're working out why audio is still playing. It's really important to make sure you disable Melodyne if you're doing overdubs, for example, because you can still hear the audio from that track even when you're overdubbing it. It can be very confusing for the vocalist, as I have learned out recently. So what I'm going to do first of all is select all of these. You can see the grey line is where is the pitch that it thinks those, or that's going to be the target pitch. So that's where it thinks that those should be. And she's, as you can see, she's a little bit flat on some notes. So what you've got in this button here is a correction wizard. And this is going to correct the pitch center to here. And it's going to also, which is going to pull all those, quantize all of those pitches to the closest note, to the grey box that you can see. So you'll just do that again, so you can see it just pulls them all up without me having to click on every one and correct them. And it also has a pitch drift correction here as well, which you can see some of these pitch bends will be minimized a little bit. So I'm going to just run that about 50%, and I'm going to do some manual correction of the pitch bends afterwards. So I click OK, and that does that. By the way, this is based on the algorithm being on melodic. There are others, percussive, for example, and polyphonic if you have the more advanced Melodyne. Melodyne Assistant is the mid-band release of Melodyne, and there are more basic and more advanced versions as well. The more advanced version has polyphony as well, which can be useful. For me personally, I'm doing vocals, might be doing lead guitars, maybe some synths as well if I've got something that I've recorded in the modular, an arpeggio or a lead, and maybe I didn't quite tune the oscillator correctly before I put it in, or maybe even want to change the notes. So you might want to redo the notes later on and change the key even. You can do that as long as it's monophonic. So let's have a listen to what this has done so far.
vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you remind me of how it used to be?
So you can see when I click on these notes, but it plays the note that it's quantized to, but it doesn't include these bends. Now you can see that this note has multiple different notes included within it, and particularly at the end of this note it bends up to the C. So what I'm going to do is use this tool to chop that note and let that go up to the C, and then I can actually correct that a little bit better, so I can still see the bends, but I can see that I can make sure that sits nicely on the C. So really this is a more or less a 2-note melody, a 2 or 3 note melody. Da 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 da. So yeah, I can pretty quickly go through and then move these, and you can hear that again. Now that again will split in half, and that bends up to here, and you can see that as I move the note up to the C sharp, the bend, the interpolation will be modified as well, so it will still have that bend, which is one of the things that makes it sound natural even once it's corrected. So let's have another listen. So actually there's also another little bit at the beginning, there's a little breath. Now the breaths are shown by these kind of striped sections, so if I want to, I can delete that breath entirely to tidy it up. Not always necessarily a good idea to delete all the breaths, because it sounds sometimes a little bit false, but it really depends on the style and what you're going for.
Vanishing memories felt like eternity.
Yeah, you can hear that it sounds a little bit artificial, but it's good enough for me. It's yeah, that's what I want in an electronic music track. You know, it's cool. So do.
Vanishing memories.
Okay, I'm happy with bar 1. What I can do is I can here select in Ableton.
Out like eternity. Out like eternity. Out like eternity. Can you?
Okay, I'm happy with.
Can you remember? Out like eternity. Can.
Just gonna undo in here.
Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can.
I'm going to sort out this wobble in a little while. I'm just going to get these bits right first.
Can you remind me of Harry? Can you remind me of how it used to be? Can you remind?
Again, there's a split there that needs to happen, so that bends up there. You can see how the bend. Oops, you can see how the bend happens in the middle. Actually, let's just zoom in a bit more, probably help. This is the way you do your zooming at the bottom here. And I'll do my split on this one there. And I can just tune that C sharp a little bit there. Great. And just correct that last little bit. I could even just take the breath off the end there as well. Just make sure I select just that last bit and take the breath off the end. There's another breath. Okay. If I want to, I can even tidy up that breath too. Bit noisy. Okay, so that's that without any modulation adjustment. But you can hear that Bex has quite a vibrato in her voice, which is amazing. But maybe for this particular track, I want to correct it a little bit more and have it a little bit straighter, which I can do as well. So let's go back to the top again. Here.
Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you vanish?
I'm going to just correct that. Just pull this down a bit.
Felt
I might go a little bit too far. And we'll see. I think that should be on there, and then the modulation should be minimized, but we'll see. It sounds very strange and robotic when you're doing this, but then once you've corrected it, let's just pull these in and see what it looks like. Okay. Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you remind? Yeah. Minimize those bubbles a bit more. Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you remind me? That one's a bit much. On the U. Let's just jump into the middle there. Can you remind me of how it used to be? A bit too much wobble on the end there as well, so we'll just minimize that. So yeah, you can see very quick and easy and amazingly transparent considering how much correction we've done. So let's listen to the whole thing again from here. Vanishing memories felt like eternity. Can you remind me of how it used to be? Okay, so I'm happy with that. It will need some compression, some reverb, and then the other vocals around it, the harmonies, and there's some oohs and ahs as well here, which will be processed as well. And then I'm going to add in now and play you the track as it is in its released format. So have a listen. So hopefully that was useful for you in understanding Melodyne Assistant and how it integrates with Ableton. I'll put a link to the track in the description underneath. Please come back and listen and watch my other videos if you haven't already. I'm going to be trying to put more and more out and more regularly out. So check back next week if you can, and hopefully there'll be something new for you here. Big up. Peace.